Okay, so we're live. Good evening, everybody. Hello and welcome back. Thank you very much to everybody who tuned in last week for Big Pete and the Long Patark Walk. That's what we call last week's video. Next week we're going to do Mighty Mark and the Magic Minute. So tonight, it was so nice last week. So many people tuned in, and we got such lovely feedback, and I really enjoyed the chat with Pete. I thought I would do one with my pal Brett Nicol. So we're going to call this The Rise of the Nicol Stones, History in the Making, because I first came across Brett Nicol round about the end of 2014 when I was starting to train seriously for the Dinny Stones. I went off to Scotland and picked up my dad's old weights and rings that he had made in the 70s. The chap called Tony Atchison had borrowed them, had actually been given them, and he very kindly gave them back to me. So at that stage, when I was kind of training for the Stones, I started poking about, on YouTube, and I had been all my life anyway because I've always been interested in the Stones. But I remember coming across this fella called Brett Nicol, and he had the Nicol Stones, and I thought, oh, more Stones other than the Dinnies. So I had a look about, and I found a couple of his videos, and one of them was, he had these massive stones. One of them was 202 kilos, the other was 155 kilos, and he lifted them so easily. I remember being so impressed about that. And his son Reuben was in the background. Dad, put more weight on them, so he stuck a couple of 10 kilo plates on the wee one and moved them across onto the big one and lifted them just as easy. It was very, very impressive. So I remember sending him a wee message and saying, mate, I really enjoyed your stone lift, and I'm training for the Dinnies. And he was very nice. Him and I almost became like friends almost immediately. So we did. And so I thought, with how well things went with Pete last week, and it was Pete's idea. Pete said, "Do you fancy doing a wee chapter?" Which we did, and it was great. But I kind of thought I would like to continue and do some more. So we'll chat to Brett tonight. So it'll be the rise of the rise of the Nicol Stones, history in the making, and it is history in the making. I mean, I'll let Brett tell you all about the Stones himself, because they're his, and he knows all the background, and I know it too. But it's his stage, so I'll let him take the stage and tell everybody. But these Stones, they are making a name for themselves, and people are listening. People are coming, they're wanting to lift them, and it's not just guys like me who are starting to train, for the Stones. They're seasoned athletes are seeing this for the challenge that it is, so that it's growing. So I'm going to invite Brett in. Brett, do me a favour, will you, if you're listening, will you request, I think you maybe already have, Brett Nicol, there you go. So Brett should hopefully be joining us any second now, and I can read the comments this week. So hello everybody.
Paul, how you doing?
There he is there.
How you doing, Paul?
What about you?
Oh, good.
I'm all right.
Good.
Welcome to this. I'm good, thanks. Yep.
Well done, Paul. Right.
So you're all ready?
Right. Okay.
How's the back? And I heard you were training yesterday. Is the back, hands, everything okay? Yeah.
All good, Paul.
Tough as nails.
Yeah.
Nails. So I've just done a wee intro. So I have. Hi Ricky. Hi Jeff Nicol. I can see everybody. Matt, we love you.
How you doing, Paul? Love you, Paul.
Yeah. Last week we had the tackle ring. Everyone was coming up from the side, and I couldn't read anything. So
that was a nice Paul. Right. Yeah.
And I have set everything to record. So this is all over. There's Toots McGee. All right. Hey, that Mark.
Kicking it side by side, Mark.
What about that?
Hey, bro. How you doing?
So Brett. After last week, I just thought, we spoke about this during the week. I thought it'd be nice, just to have a yarn. We'll have a beer. We'll have just a quiet chat about stuff. But you know what? I mean, I know we all talk about the Dinnies, and we're doing all this stuff about the Dinnies. But what's on the rise at the minute is the Nicol Stones.
Yeah.
And I mean, they're actually on the rise, not just rising off the ground, but I mean, really, the notoriety of these things and the popularity. I mean, it's off the scale at the moment. No, it is. Because I first seen your video, you lifted the two big Nicol Stones, combined weight of about 360 kilos, and they are no joke. I mean, they are heavy stones. So they are. Yeah. Since then, with what all you and I have done over with the gathering and all that sort of stuff, I mean, your collection has grown immeasurably.
Yeah.
And
yep. Yeah,
and I mean, there's tons of them. We have the Belugi stone now. We have all those other stuff, but the ones that's really caught people's imagination, I think, is the Nicol walking stones. We brought them in last year for the gathering, and I mean, they've just gone ballistic. Do you want to give a wee bit of?
How you doing?
A bit of background on these things.
How you doing, Paul?
Andy Black, what about you?
Yeah. And Levi, here you go, Paul. Yeah. So, what we're going to talk about why I got the
Yeah,
Nicol Walking Stones.
like just the Nicol Stones in general, but I think we'll start off with the Walking Stones because that's the ones that everybody, that's the
Right.
ones that really seem to be on the radar, and on everybody's radar. They want to try them, walk with them, you know.
Well, I'll
So
tell you the origins of them, right? The whole
yeah,
reason why I made the Nicol Walking Stones, right, is because I had it in my head to walk with the Dinner Stones, right?
yeah,
So, and they're kind of like similar in heights and all that. And I mean, I had a real mission in my head thinking, right, can I walk the bridge with the Dinner Stones? I can, right? And the fact is that I did train with them for a long time, and I managed to get up to 300 for a few feet, for about 6 feet with them.
I remember. Yeah,
Yeah, but it came into question with me was a bit of like risk to reward just wasn't worth it for me because I was getting to a point where it's not that I wasn't coping, but I actually felt like I was hitting a wall, right?
yeah.
A wee bit, right? And now you know when we were down at Mark's, I managed 305 kilograms for 6 feet when we were a bit sozzled. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I remember. Yeah,
you know, so I
yeah,
mean that wasn't that long ago, but the whole thing about it was it was started off light to add weights onto it. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
but the thing about them is I didn't expect them to be such a challenge to the bigger boys either, though. You know what I mean? I
Yeah, yeah,
actually thought that it was more of a domestic level. You know what I mean? I think,
yeah.
you know, as in like, not saying the lower boys, but name the big lads, you know? But
Aye.
it's the same respects. I suppose you can maybe not down certain people's strengths, but, you know, how can I put that into words? You know, the way I look at it is there's not a massive divide between that and walk. You know what I mean? The walking,
Yeah, yeah,
some of the people from the gathering and some of these bigger lads that are out there. You know, there's not such a
yeah.
divide between it. You know what I mean? It's one of those
I know what you mean.
events.
Yeah, yeah,
I think the thing about I wanted to do was like, let's be honest here, right? It's a handful of people that are going to walk side by side with the Dinner Stones, right? And it's a very handful of people,
small handful.
and
Yeah,
that handful of people aren't going to get very far. So it's not
yeah.
very entertaining for people to watch that. I'm not saying it's
You're
not
absolutely
amazing,
right.
but for somebody
Yeah.
to pick up something and only do a few feet, it's a bit of a, it's not a letdown, but it's not like, oh, you know, you're either.
Well, it doesn't get your juices flowing, you know.
No,
It doesn't get the blood up. It doesn't give the
no,
crowd a chance to get behind the athlete and
exactly.
stuff. Yeah,
And I
yeah,
knew when I was walking with my stones when they were empty, it's, I mean, and all the guys that have walked my stones will say the same thing. It's the last 5 or 6 feet without stones that all of a sudden it's like, oh God. But it's that kind of combination where you can hold on, which makes
yeah,
for good entertainment. We can see how much people grimace with them. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I think the whole thing about that event is as well, it's giving you a chance to do something that maybe Donald Dinny did, but you're doing it in a lighter weight to have a sense of feeling of what he did, you know what I mean, or what he achieved, you know, and anybody can achieve it. There's no cheating
Yeah.
event, you know. It's definitely an event as well in strongman. I think why people like it so much is because there's no easy route to it, you know.
No, no,
A
absolutely.
belt's not going to help you. You're not allowed to use straps, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to take small steps, so that no matter how big you are, they're going to throw you to the ground. So it's a battle of grip, strength, and endurance, which to me is just the whole key of strongman itself. You know what I mean? Get what I'm trying to say, Phil? Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
but
I mean, for any of the guys out there that about your stone spread, I mean, we all know that the Denny stones are 188 kilos and 144.
yeah.
You know, the Nicol stones aren't that heavy, you know, the Nicol walking stones, but what weights are there? Remind everybody what weights they are.
Well, the Nicol Stones are Nicol walking stones 138 and 114, right?
Yeah. It doesn't sound like a huge amount of weight, but my goodness, wow.
Well, it's still,
When you
it's
get them
still a
up,
quarter of a ton, though. If you put it like that, it's still quarter
oh,
of a ton,
yeah,
right?
it's quarter of a ton, yeah.
And the thing is as well, that one great thing I do think it's great for them is that when even some of these big guys have picked them up, they've went, oh, it's not so heavy until they start moving with them.
Yeah.
You know? And that's the whole thing. It's keeping, you know, there is no easy route with them. You can't just take off like a bat out of hell and expect. I mean, I will say one thing though, that Luke Stockman, when he did it at IHGF, he's about the only guy I've seen so far that actually managed to manhandle him like he did, right?
Yeah.
Which is kind of, it's not shocking to me because Luke's a big, strong dude, you know, no doubt about it. He's a big,
Very much
strong guy. but I expected some other guys to be able to handle him a bit better than what they did, but they didn't.
Yeah.
But then,
Yeah.
if you're a bit nervous about an event, I mean, Luke came to that IHGF and just didn't even, he didn't look like he was nervous at all. Again, there was no nerves about it.
Yeah.
He was actually there in a competition with guys that were below him, really. So it's a bit of that. I would think he got that extra bit of strength to show these guys why he's world class. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah,
And
so he's motivated to do it, yeah.
Oh, he definitely motivated him. I mean, and Luke did a really incredible job. I mean, he still holds the world record, you know?
He does, yeah, and there's some strong guys have taken it on and come close, but I mean, yes, it's still chance.
Well, Mark,
do you know one of the things that I remember about the Stones is whenever you first mentioned to me, you know, because you already had sort of your initial 3 Nicol Stones. You had your 202, you had your 155, and you had your 114.
Yeah, I know. I had a 115.
115, that's right, 115.
155 and 202.
Yeah, 202. So I remember, you know, you do different combinations of those, because I remember when we did Stone on, I picked up the 155 and the 115, and how do we go at walking with it? But it wasn't walking side by side, it was pick up and sit down, you know. But I remember they were great Stones, and I remember you saying to me afterwards that you'd find these other Stones that would go well together, because one of them was the original Nicol Stones, and the other was a new one you found. You said that the combination of these just feels amazing, because you were training with the side-by-side walk.
Yeah.
And we first used them at the gathering, I think, or was it at Charlie's event?
No, it was at Charlie's event, IHGF, yeah.
Charlie's event, that's right, yeah. But I remember even myself picking them up that day, you know, having a go, and I mean, I got them off the ground, okay, but once I stood up with those one in either hand, I tried to lift my foot, and it was like somebody had nailed my feet to the ground.
Yeah, but
so they are no joke, man. Yeah.
No, they're, look, listen. You know, let's be honest here. It's funny because sometimes you'll see somebody expect to do really well, and then they don't do so well, and then you get the other person. I mean, you don't necessarily have to be gym strong to do these. You know what I mean? You could be the strongest guy in the gym and crumble under these. You know what I mean? It's you know, and I've seen a lot of guys that were really, really gym strong, not coping with them at all, and I mean, looking like a wreck. You know, looking like a rabbit in the headlights. And then the next guy, it's like, wow. I mean, to be fair to you, like the likes of Matt Jones at the gathering last.
That was incredible. That was incredible.
Yeah, absolutely insane. And then Matt did it on the bridge and turned around and came back again. I mean,
that's right.
Strong lad, right? And I do think with the Nicol Stones as well, your grip's everything. You know, if you've got your hook grip, I mean, you can't do it on open hand if you're like Mark Felix, yeah?
Yes.
But I feel, well, the likes of Mark, he's a guy that never does hook anyway, right? So he just hand. But I feel like if you're going to try the Nicol Stones, try and hook grip it, because then you don't have to concentrate about your grip, and you can concentrate about the other matters. Because I mean, I've walked with him without hook grip, and so has Mark Cade up in front of me, and it can be done, but you're just there's too much to concentrate on, you know.
So, it does, yeah. So you know, the thing if you think about the grip on these Stones, okay, I mean, if you were an Olympic lifter and you were going in to do a snatch or a clean and jerk, you know, would you try and lift the bar over your head without putting your thumbs in? The answer is no. So I mean, obviously, you need to use technique, and to be honest with you, you know, and anybody who uses hook grip on that is going to get further than the person doing it without hook grip. No matter how strong your grip is, you always, with you add that thumb in, if you can stand the pain of it and your technique's good, you're always going to have that bit of extra endurance. You're going to hold them a bit longer.
Gordon, Paul. Definitely.
Hi, Gordon. Yeah. So I mean, yes, you know, so I mean, I think it's very important that with the likes of, you know, the Nicol Stones and the Denny Stones, anybody's trying that. You know, it's not just brute strength. I mean, technique plays such a huge part in all of these things, you know. And if you put the training in with that and your grip, get the technique right, put the training in for, you know, for getting used to having that kind of weight hanging off your traps, the imbalance, you're going to have so much more of a chance of success, you know, that rather than making it hard for yourself, you know.
100%. You know, I mean, let's be honest here. I think most strong man's about having advantages over your opponent. You know what I mean? It's
Of
not
course.
anything like fighting or anything like that. You know, it's having an
Yeah.
advantage over somebody. And with you doing a hook grip, if you, like, I've got not bad open hand grip as well, but
Yeah.
with you doing a hook grip on an event like Nicol Stones, and like I say, enables you to concentrate in the walk, right?
Yeah.
And not
Yeah.
concentrate and letting go. You know, because when you start concentrating and letting go, and definitely when things start sliding out your hand, you have a tendency to look down, right?
You do. Yeah.
If you look down on a Nicol Stones when you're struggling, you've got about 2 more feet and they're out, right?
Yeah, because balance is going forward. You're putting yourself off balance. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, I mean, Adam Bishop did it. He did a hook grip at the Europe's Strongest Man, and it worked completely for him, you know? So it just shows you that, and look how far he got. I don't think anybody expected him to get as far as he did, but he did.
Amazing.
Right?
He was absolutely amazing, yeah.
Because he did the right thing, little steps, and just take your time. You know what I mean? So when you start doing this, but the thing is, the whole thing about the Nicol Stones as well is you have got a tendency when you stand up to go, right, I'm going to have to go and I'm going to drop them.
Yeah.
And you can tell the people, well, I can sort of tell the people that look like they're panicking because they're off, right?
They're off. Yeah, their heads forward. Yeah.
It's like, I've got
forward,
to stop, you know? But,
yeah.
I mean, like I tell you, another person who did really well with him as well at Charlie's was like Jim Gerald and Jamie Duncan, right?
Yes, absolutely brilliant. Yeah, absolutely brilliant.
2 guys that absolutely nailed it that day, right? Now, that's 2 guys that really didn't practice it. You know what I mean? Didn't get to practice, but they were both in the, like, just off of 30 feet, the pair of them. You know what I mean? And that's pretty amazing for people not training for them, and especially the size that guys are at 100 kilos. You know what I mean? Really seriously strong boys. I mean, especially, I mean, Jamie's incredibly strong. We know that anyway. But so is Jim. You know what I mean? And I mean, Jim. Jim grimaced from about 15 feet. You know what I mean? Halfway, but he still kept going because he did the hook grip, and all he had to think about was walking rather than holding on to it.
Yeah.
I mean,
the grip was solid, technique was solid. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, everything's about trickery. You know what I mean? It's all about trickery. Your little advantages you've got. So why would you not have an advantage by not doing something like a hook grip? You know?
That's it. When it's available to you, absolutely, 100%, yeah.
I mean, you do get the odd person like Pete, right? Pete for Australia, right? Who has got the most unbelievable grip ever, right? Now, whatever that guy gets in his hands, if he can stand up with it, it's not coming out of his hands, right?
No, it's not,
But then Mark Felix is a bit like that as well. And to be fair to you, Mark's, and probably Mark wouldn't mind me saying this, but Mark's actual grip failed him on my stones when he was up here, you know?
Yes.
And he said it's the first time, and he said it was one of the first times it's ever happened, right? So that just shows you one of the best grips in the business. You know what I mean?
The King of the Hercules hold, like, I mean, there's nobody ever beat Mark for grip events.
Yeah, and he's the guy has got so much digging deep in him. It's unbelievable, right? To do what he did. He walked my stones twice in the space of 15 minutes. You know,
he did. And I think that's probably why second time round maybe his hands were saying, you know what?
Yeah.
When you add them together, that's like 40 feet instead of 20.
Just unbelievable. But the good thing about them is they've got a bit of momentum at the moment, and the great thing about them is it's there for people who are a certain league of strongman, right? If you're a guy who can pick up the Denny Stones, or you've got, like, how can I say, not a bit, you've got to obviously have a certain degree of strength, or you're not going to do it, right? But the great thing about my stones is they'll stop the guys at the top as much as they'll stop the guys here. You know what I mean?
They're a great leveler, Brett. They're a super leveler. They just level the playing field, you know. And unless anybody specifically trained for them at the top level, you know, I don't think no matter how strong you're going to just jump in, grab those and walk. You know, unless you're a freak like Luke Stoltman, you know, those guys are exceptional. Mark Felix, Luke Stoltman, you know, Tom Stoltman, all those guys, I mean, they are exceptional athletes. But I mean, the reason that we have the gathering, you know, is for the everyday enthusiast. You know, it's not, we're not aiming this at the top level athletes, we're aiming this at guys who have a passion for stone lifting, who train hard, you know, who want to compete, who love the history and what we're bringing back, you know, of the old time strength thing, you know. So that's what I love about all of this.
Oh, listen.
There's a couple of elements on your stones that I think it's worthwhile you and I talking about to make people aware of them. One of them is, because you have a light stone and you have a heavy stone. I mean, obviously, you and I know because we've studied this, and I mean, we know what the score is. But it's the whole sort of, if you've got the light stone in your left hand and the heavy stone in your right hand, you're leading with your left side, trying not to bring the right side around to cause that momentum, so the big stone trips you. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, I think the thing where you would think that the big stone would be the problem of my stones, but it's actually not.
Yeah.
The problem is the smaller stone, because just at the very front of the smaller stone, there's a little bit of a nib that sticks out. It's about 2.5 inches long, 2 inches thick, and it blends in with the stone. Now, if you walk too quickly, that clips off your knee and sends it out the way, right? And it's not like walking with pins. When you walk with pins, they can turn around. And I'll tell you right now, it was actually Mark Haydock that pointed this out to me. So heads up to Mark here. When Terry Hollands was training for them, he goes, Brett, you have to tell Terry that his hands were moving out the way, right? Now, you can't do that with my stones because they're fixed, right? With pins, they will move inside the rings. So that's a thing everybody's got to understand. And I've been telling people since that, because I never really thought about it till Mark said it. But everybody trains them, it's got a tendency to do this or they do that, right? The fact of the matter is you have to stay palms in at the side, because the minute you start doing this or doing that, if you do that, it knocks off your knee. If you do that, it swings out the way, right? Because the big stone itself, it just stays there. She'll only move. It'll just holds to your side. It's not the problem. As well, the Dinny stones, the problem is the big stone because it wants to swing in front of you. So they're similar but completely different, which makes them a brilliant thing. Makes them individual as well.
That's the beauty about stone lifting. I mean, you could have two stones that weigh exactly the same, but you're going to have to employ different techniques to get them both up.
Oh, 100%.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and the thing about my stones is as well, because that stone sits away down here in your leg, the other stone, because it's smaller, sits up here. If you walk them, you get this wadding going on, right? Yeah.
Just like this.
Yeah.
You see the high one and the low one?
Yeah, exactly, Paul. Spot on. Yeah. But you get that waddling going on.
Yeah.
You've got to watch. It's almost like a pendulum. You don't get this, you know what I mean? So, I mean, it is a really hard thing to train for, but I will say one thing. It's one of those events, like when I take the guys down to the bridge, if they want to cross the bridge, you're very satisfied when you do it. You've got a really sense of like, wow, I've just done that. I know everybody can say that about doing a log lift or doing a deadlift and all that, but I mean, there's nothing.
Well, I remember getting your stone. It wasn't the Nicol walking stones. It was the sort of second and third Nicol stones. I remember getting those across the bridge. Yeah. And I remember just the wave of emotion that came over me. I mean, I can't really remember if I cried or not, but it just was a huge wave of emotion to do something like that. What a rush, man! Yeah.
It is, and you would think that 17 feet, considering like Luke did 20 meters, which is 60 feet. You think 17 feet would be a simple task, and it is quite simple in certain terms, but because the bridge has got a bit of a camper, you're kind of going up and you're coming down.
Up and down.
So, I mean, I've done a bridge a few times now, but I mean, I won't say their names, but boys that they did better on the grass and did not very good on the bridge. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So, I do better on the bridge. I'm always fearful of doing it on the grass because when I broke my ankle badly, I don't want to go down on my ankle, so I'm a bit wary about doing it on grass. Right?
I remember the day you did them on the bridge, and you crossed the bridge in under 10 seconds. It was the most incredible thing. It was like, because we tell everybody else, take it nice and steady, and do as Brett says, but don't do as he does, because he nearly ran across the bridge.
But
that was incredible, that day.
Yeah, it was, but then that day as well, you've got to remember, that's not long after I was trying to train to walk for the Dinny Stones. So, but then in the same respects, I hadn't walked with my Nicol walking stones empty for over a year. They were always always weight on them. There was always 160. I mean, for a while I was doing 160, 130 and just kept it at that, So it was miles off of what. So when I picked them up that day at the bridge, they just felt like they were glued to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't get me wrong. I mean, some days you'll just get it bang on. You know, it's like that with any event you do. Again, like I've seen me put the Barogi stone on my shoulder like it was even there. And the next time, you're just not getting it far enough up in your chest. And you're like, oh, again. So, but
That's what makes us human. Yeah. That's what makes us human. You know, we're not machines. We can't just perform every day. There's a great question there, Brett, from David Broadley. How did you end up getting involved at Europe's Strongest Man last year? That's a great story, actually. I remember you telling me about the phone call. So, did you want to tell the guys about the phone call from Colin about that? Yeah.
Well, do you know something? I'm not really 100% sure, guys, right? But I think Charlie's got a bit to do with it, because Charlie was up at, Colin was up at Charlie's, and I'm not really sure if, because Colin saw my stones at IHGF, or he'd spoken to Charlie, but the chain of events happened like that anyway, and Colin kind of phoned me. And I will say one thing, guys, I was very wary, because I thought, my God, these guys are going to piss this and make it look stupid, right? But you know as well as I do, Stephen, it was a huge surprise, you know.
That was a great day, man. That was something to see. It was an incredible day.
And I think as well, I was really nervous about taking them down, because I really didn't think they'd be heavy enough for the guys that were involved. Yeah. But I couldn't have got it more bang on if I tried. You know, they're
perfect. They really are. It's just you've hit on something.
Yeah.
Just
even if these guys train for it, the thing about these guys is, even if they train for it, the thing that will get everybody's because of the rules, right? Because even if they get to 20 meters, they've got to turn round without putting them down, and that's a whole different ball game as well. I mean, I've turned round with them in my driveway, and it's difficult, you know, without. It's difficult. I mean, Mark Jones, I'll tell you that as well.
Did you not notice something with when the guys are walking with them, Brett? I mean, obviously, you have a rule that they're allowed to set them down and pick them up once. So you get one pickup. Now, what I've seen, everybody that I've seen doing it walks as far as they can, sets them down, and then picks them up with that last wee bit of strength. I haven't seen one person yet, while they're fresh, set them down. Because their hands will be shaking while they're still fresh, pick them up and feed.
I've said that so many times. I've tried to tell people this. If they can get to 30 feet, even if they're fresh, put them down.
Put them down.
That 10 seconds, I mean, I've done it in my driveway, right? If you walk to the point where 5 feet back from where you think, or 6 feet back from where you think, oh, here we go, starting to get heavy, put them down. Because that's the whole thing. It's really difficult, because I know what these guys are doing. I know what everybody wants to do. I'll just try and get as far as I can. But it won't work like that. If you're somebody, unless you know for sure you can get that 20 meters without stopping, right?
Yeah.
And without putting them down. To me, it's silly. You should put them down at 10 meters, right?
Yes, while you're fresh.
Stand up and do the other 10 meters, right? 100%.
It'd be nice to see somebody doing that, I think, because we haven't seen anybody do that yet. But because I think everybody thinks, I need to get them up out of this, you know. I mean, because obviously in the heat of the moment, I mean, your head's probably not thinking as clearly as you would normally think, you know. But it would be nice to see somebody set them down when they're fresh, pick them up, and then right off we go for this. Because normally when they pick them up, 3 or 4 steps, and that's it, they're done. Yeah,
and I can understand as well if somebody's wanting to break Luke's record at the moment. Right?
Yes,
because
understood.
They're not quite 20 meters. So if they get there, but once that 20 meters is broken, you're going to have to turn around and come back again, and that's when it's all going to go. That's when that record's going to slow right down, right?
Yeah.
Because you're going to have to get to that 20 meters. I personally think you're going to have to get to that 20 meters, put them down at 20, turn round and do what Mark Felix was going to do, and just pick them up without turning round. You might have to have the heavy side and other side and try and get another few meters, right?
That's it, yes, because you don't have to actually turn the stones. You can set them down, turn yourself around, leave where they are, have that option.
Absolutely.
So, which is, you know what, I mean, for the grip and everything, and the fact that your heavy side's been stressed, you know, all of a sudden you're a wee bit more fresh on the other side. It's
definitely. But you've got to get that 20 meters, Stephen. You've got to get that 20 meters, Paul. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, that's it. You got to get there first. Yeah.
And I know that everybody can do it in training in a hall and all that, but that doesn't even come close to what it's like on grass. Not even in a park. It's like lifting the dinnies and chuckies and lifting them on a board. You know what I mean?
There you go,
It's just completely night and day. You know what I mean?
No, I remember the feeling of them starting in grass, because you actually almost have to, you can't slide your feet, you can't shuffle like you would do on tarmac. You know, I don't think you can slide your feet, because I would think I have a reasonable chance of sliding my feet when I have them up if I was standing on the bridge.
Yeah.
But in grass, you just can't do it. You actually have to lift. You have to walk. You have to lift your feet and walk.
You
know,
definitely 100% have to get
you get it. You're
12
my weight.
meters on dry to be able to get 15 meters on grass. 100%.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
And I would even maybe cut that back a bit. I mean, for the way that your feet and everything moves on grass to what it does on concrete, it's just night and day. That's why I think we're going to try and get an indoor world record at Scotland's strongest man for it.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Because it has to be an outdoor
It'll be different record. It'll be different.
Like track and field, an indoor and outdoor. Definitely.
Yeah, yeah.
They're so different and so,
Oh, it is different. I remember years and years ago, I was training for the marathon. And where I lived at the time was about 14 miles, 13 miles from where I worked and where I lived.
Yeah.
So I decided, just when I was getting well into the training, I thought I'll just run home. And I was well capable of the 13 mile. It wasn't the most difficult run, but on the way home, I hit like a dual carriageway. So I came off the road. Obviously, there was tons of traffic. Came off the road and onto the grass, and the grass was probably about that sort of length, about 5-6 inches long. So I had to actually lift my feet, and I was as fresh as a daisy when I started. And that when I kept to the end of it, I probably still had about a mile to go and I was downhill to get home. It almost killed me. I swear, I think it took me about 2 weeks to recover from that, just because I had to lift my legs that wee bit higher when I was running. But I think it's a different sport, but it's the same principle with grass. You can ride about in grass.
Oh, grass is just, look, walking my stones in grass is an absolute nightmare, and that's there's no doubt about it. There's no getting away from it. I was going to answer a question there. The guy,
yes,
is it Brody? Is it David Brody?
Yes, David. Yep.
Right. Well, just answer your question, mate. They will get used at some point again, as far as I know, in a Giants live. I'm not sure which one it will be because of all this COVID crap that's going on, but I've been told that they'll be used at something. That's for sure, because I think the guys quite like the event, and I think everybody would like to try and get a world record out of it. So if that answers your question, mate. Aye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm just my comments had started to had stopped there.
Yeah.
So I'm just catching up on all the comments here. There's Big Jimmy, and what are you saying, Jimmy? With only 10 seconds, I'm like, you'll get the perfect hook grip in. Yeah, the hook grip's the sort of thing you need to practice. It's not the sort of thing that you just do on the day and go with it, because if you go in cold with a hook grip as well, the pain. If you haven't conditioned yourself to warm your hands up, my goodness, it's like somebody's hitting you with a hammer.
Well, that was one of the reasons why I did this 10-second put down, because I know outside here, when I was trying to walk, I had this fantasy of walking the Dinny Stones. Sometimes I could pick up my stones out here, 160 and 130, and walk, no bother. And the next time I'd walk a couple of feet and realise my grip wasn't right, and it would just put you to the ground, right?
Oh,
yeah. So that was the reason why I thought, right, I'll give a 10-second rule so people can readjust. Because you can't just, you've got to make it competitive. You can't just, there's a lot of stone walking events around the world. It's like, it's for as far as you can get in 90 seconds. And some of the guys are picking them up and putting them down about 40 times. Just looks stupid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's got to be, I think most strong men in general want to have a go at something that they look upon as not everybody's going to be able to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the whole idea of it.
Yeah.
Pulling a boat up a jetty or rolling a car or something. Well, to pick these two things up and walk a distance, everything's involved. Everything. Absolutely.
Everything's involved, but everything's moving. Yeah. But one of the things too, Brendan, I really have to take my hat off to you on this one, is because this is essentially a brand new competitive event. This has never been done before. We have farmers walk and stuff, but this is a whole different thing. So, it's very hard when you do something for the first time to get the rules right, because you run up once, you say, well, we maybe got that wrong, or we shouldn't have done it that way, or we might change this, but from that event first appeared, I don't really think there's much has changed, so to come up with something like that and actually get the rules where it actually works and get the weights right and the size of the rings right, for me, I'm absolutely over the moon for you, because I think it's an amazing new addition to the strongman community.
Yeah, well, the thing is, Stephen, the way I see it is, Paul, it's a challenge to the board, right? And
it is.
I think with the Nicol Walking Stones as well, is because people are enjoying doing it, and there's a lot of guys out there like, I know. Let's be honest here. There's a lot of guys out there who look at Denny Stones and think, maybe they're a bit too much for me, right?
Right.
Well, they've got an opportunity here to train for the Nicol Walking Stones, and let's be honest,
yes.
You've got a certain degree of strength. You're going to get a couple of feet with them, right?
Oh.
You're going to be able to put your hands on a couple of stones that have been, God, walked now by like Tom, Luke, Jamie Goran, Jamie Duncan, Mark Haydock, Andy Kennedy, Luke Richardson, Graham Hicks. The list just goes on and on and on.
I mean, it's strongman royalty. You know, when you think about it, it's the current wave of strongman royalty has had their hands on your stones already.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, I don't know, for me, I didn't expect it to go this route. I didn't expect it. Like I said to you, I've told you so many times, Stevie, and I've said this to Mark as well, and Jimmy Duncan, I expected it just to be our level, you know, make it hard for us lot. You know, and I'm not saying it's really hard for them, because when they train for it, they'll do better. But
yes,
I don't see anybody doing no 30 metres with them in the next 5 or 6 years, that's for sure, right?
I know. Yeah. I think with any of these events, I mean, the more you train for it, the better you get at it. And I think, you know, now that it's been part of Europe's Strongest Man, and it's, you know, there's all these other different events that it's going to become part of, I think guys will take it more seriously, because now that they've tried it, they thought, ooh, that's not farmers. You know, so they will train for it, and I think we will see bigger numbers, but I don't think they're going to be, you know, enormously far ahead of what we're currently at.
I mean, the rings and pins are amazing, right? And it's the closest thing you'll get. But they don't even come close to the real stones, right?
No, they don't.
Right?
Yeah.
And I'll be the first one to admit that. I mean, personally myself, a lot of folk think the stones are harder than the pins. Personally myself, I think the pins are harder than the stones. That's what I
think the pins are harder. I find them harder than the stones,
but then the stones act differently than the pins, which makes them harder, because the pins stay close to you and they don't really move about. As for my stones, once you start getting some momentum up, it's like, ooh, this hand starts and then you start thinking. I mean, to be honest with you, Adam Bishop and Mark Felix have got the technique. The only two guys that have really done it, not much, but they've got the technique that you need to do with my stones. Slow and steady, right?
Slow and steady, back on your heels, not leaning out forward with it.
And with Adam Bishop, I mean, I think Adam Bishop, to me, had the best style of everybody to do it, right? The way that he did it. You know, he did it
well that day.
No, he didn't carry, he didn't get too excited, he didn't do nothing, he just concentrated, just taking it easy. And he almost did it, you know, close to it, you know.
Oh, man. Him and Mark Felix both came very close that day.
But then, to be fair to you, Stephen, it didn't really shock me about Mark Felix. That guy doesn't shock me because he's just a superstar, you know what I mean? When it comes to that, I mean, I expected Mark to do really, really well in it. I didn't expect anybody else to do so. I didn't expect Adam Bishop to do so well in it. But he did, because he did everything that you're supposed to do in it, you know? He didn't get carried away with himself, try and take off. And, you know, there was a few of them there that did that. It's a bit like that at a gathering, you know? You could see the boys that, you know, and some of that guys at a gathering were unbelievable. I'm not joking. I mean, I look at
all were, for me, they all were. Everybody at the gathering was put on give a great account of themselves, every single one of them. You know, I was so proud.
Absolutely.
All the guys that day.
And they all work hard. Like my pal Jamie Golan. I mean, nobody works harder than Jamie. You know what I mean? He's always at it. You know, he's always giving my stones a good praise as well. Right? And I do really genuinely think if Jamie really, really trained, you get close to it. You know, if he specifically trained for that bit. But the whole problem in my opinion is you can't get better than the real stones, you know? So everybody's at the same advantage because nobody's getting their hands on the stones until the day. You know?
Yeah, well, that's it. Yeah, you can't do it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Well, that's what makes it a really great event, because you can train for the deadlift because you're using a deadlift bar, and it's the same bar. If you want, you can buy the competition bar, the one they're going to use, right? Same weight, same everything. So it's the same. But my stones aren't like that. You know, you can get the pins. That's the closest thing you can get to it.
Right. Yeah.
But that's on the day you've got the same advantage as everybody else because they haven't been able to practice the stones. So everybody's at the same advantage. You know what I mean?
Everybody's the same boat.
You know, so on that day, that's what makes it a great. I personally think that's what makes it a great event, because the fact is everybody is in the same level playing field, right? They can train with pins. That's all they can do, and everybody's got to get prepared on the day. It's the real thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I personally think it's an event that I'm glad it's involved with everything now. You know what I mean? And
oh man, I'm delighted. Yeah, because when you think where we started this, you know, just a couple of us, you know, just talking about the Denny Stones, and then just inviting Denny Stone lifters, and then we got together where people were just lifting Denny Stone, well, not just, but you know, where people were coming to take the stones on. And then we've expanded into the Donald Denny Games, and now events and that are starting to expand out into worldwide events. You know, we're all getting connected through this, and that's just through heavy stones, Brett. It's amazing. You know, one of the things that we're talking about now, I take the piss out of a lot, so I do, because he's a mate. But you said about Jamie Gorian, you know, that there are guys out there, you know, and I can include yourself and Mark Haydock and James Graham and Martin Jankwicks, you know, who are great ambassadors for stone lifting. But Jamie Gorian, every day, he's travelling somewhere, he's lifting a stone, he's giving you the history of it. You know, I mean, at the minute,
I would never not mention Scottish stone lifting without mentioning that guy's name, right? Because that guy's lifted all the stones in Scotland, and he's done a very, very good job of it. And he will give it absolutely 100%. The thing is, if somebody said to me, okay, what's the guys you would take with you if we were getting filmed? He'd have to be one of them, because I know he's going to give it absolutely 100%.
Absolutely, he's going to give it 100%, yeah.
1,000,000%, right? And he's nothing but play. All that Jamie's ever done is praise my stones and praise me and stuff like that. Stone lifting, I mean, I've had him here. He's phenomenal. He's amazing. Right? You know what I mean?
It's been great. I mean, when you look at the likes of some of the guys we've had competing in the gather, I mean, there's Andy Kearney. You know, goodness, he was one of the first men to press the Inverstone over his head. I mean, you talk about stone lifting royalty at our event. It's fabulous. Like, it really is. It's a real honour for me to have those guys.
I called Jamie Gorian to win in my kitchen here, right?
Yeah.
Mark Haydock and that. I said, and I know that Mark was in it, and they were all like, oh, piss off.
Yeah.
But I had it in my head, he's going to win, right? I knew Jamie would win, because I knew that all round he had everything that he needed to get good points and everything. And I knew with the Stones, Atlas Stones, Charlie Stones at the end, okay, he didn't have such a great day that day, but I knew he's capable of doing them all, right? Which, and a lot of the other athletes that were in there, I knew that some of them couldn't do all of them, you know, right? And I knew Jamie would do well with the Barlogie Stone thing, and I knew he'd do well with the walk, you know. Didn't know how well he would do with the shot, but I just had this feeling. I knew the way Jamie talked to him and that he really wanted to win. I know that they all did, and everybody gave it a mark, right?
We only had 4 events that day too, so everybody, you didn't get a chance to, well, that's my week event, you know, I'll catch up on the other ones. Everybody had to be bang on. You know, now, this year, hopefully, I mean, I don't know how it's going to go this year for the gathering, but we got 5. Round.
Sorry, I got. We're back. Sorry.
I was just explaining some of the games there that were coming on. So we're talking about the Barlogie Stone, talking about the Nichol Stones, we're talking about Sword and Stone. We're still going to have the Throwing Stone, which is the Rendrag Stone, and then we have developed our own stone medley with. You want to tell me about the last event, Brett, with the heavier, the stones getting heavier under the. under the barrels.
Yeah.
So I mean, we've got a great event this year. I just really hope this pandemic gets to a point where we're able to run it. You know, it's touch and go at the minute. But
well, the stones that I've got here for the event, for the last event on the barrels,
yeah,
I know for a fact that okay, they're not the heaviest of stones, but by the time you get to the heaviest one I've got, it's going to be a nightmare for anybody. But the great thing about it is, I feel because the guys are only having to lift it to their waist, it's still a big challenge, but just not such a unbelievable challenge. I think, what's the word? How can I say it without sounding stupid? But to just get it up onto your waist on theirs, so I feel it's a lot less injury prone to be up here. You know what I mean?
Yes, right? Absolutely. And that's the original challenge as well. Was
on top of a wall. You know what I mean? All your stones were on top of a plinth. No,
top of a
you know what I mean?
Right.
On top of a wall or something like that. You know what I mean? So I think it just makes for a great event. And because some of the lads that I know,
it stays true to the history of stone lifting, and that's what we're trying to do here. Is we're trying to bring back the original history, you know, and not create, you know, sort of like modern history. We're trying to sort of recreate the old style of this, you know, which is the wall at waist height. You know, and the thing about it's not like the weight of the stones. I mean, this is a timed event, so you know we want the guys to be able to run a wee bit with them and be quick. You know, you know what I mean. The last event, it's probably all going to be hanging on the line there. So I mean, the quicker guys going to win. You know, so we can't have it too heavy.
No.
You know, they won't finish. You know, so I think yet again, I think we've got another event that's going to catch up.
Stones, Stephen, because all these stones that I've got out here that are for that last event, they're all so different. You know, and there's not much weights between them, but believe me, the 130 I've got out here compared to the 150 is like night and day, right? It's not like an Atlas stone where you get, like, I'm not saying that Atlas stones aren't amazing, because they are, but because all these stones are different handhelds and they're different holds you've got to do, you have to be on your A game. It's almost like the Highland Games. You've got 5 events a day, you've got to be able to do all of them. But these stones, these 5 stones at the end, they're all so completely different. It's not a case of just going down and grabbing it. You're going to hate to find your position quickly and get it up. I mean, I was lucky enough that I had Jamie Duncan here and Jamie Gorham, right, who I consider pretty much at the moment in Scotland terms in competition. I mean, I haven't had Martin here yet, because Martin, but as good as you get, right? Now, they've tested all these stones out here, and I think they all liked the stones. They knew it was a good challenge. You know what I mean? So for me, I know that other folk in the competition might go, oh, but they've tried it. But like we've said, on the day of the gathering, we're not going to stop people going up, the competitors, and having a feel off the ground to feel what they want to their hands, right? So you can go up and feel it and like, okay, that's what I want to do. We're not going to stop them doing that, right?
Okay. No, but you have to let it, because I mean, like you say, I mean, picking up one stone, you might grab it in the middle. Pick up another stone, you might be one hand forward, one hand back. You need to find your hand hold.
A couple of stones out here, Stephen, that are going to be in that competition. And unless you get it bang on, you're not getting them off the ground.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. That's why I love it.
All right.
Natural stone listed. It's not nice knurled handles. There's no, you know, there's no even bars and illegal calibrated plates.
I think the gathering is it's going to be the only strongman comp, I think, in Britain where everything's natural stones.
I think the only one in the world, Brett. I'm not aware of any other ones on the planet that are all natural stones.
It's all natural stones, man.
Yeah. I'm very proud of that.
You know, it's going to make for a good competition, and I truly believe, Stephen, even if some of the bigger guys came down, they still they wouldn't do as well as they think they would. You know, I mean, we're not allowed tacky or nothing, and I'm not taking nothing away from these guys that do tacky, because that's
it's a different discipline.
But when you're taking natural stones and all your allows a bit of chalk, it's a bit more to it. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying it in any way, because I know some of these. I know what Jamie Goran's like with tacky. He can lift 200 like it's not there. You know what I mean? So,
hi Gary, hi Sean.
Yeah, who's that?
That's Gary and Sean on there.
I got it. Oh, I got it. Hi Sean Thomas. How you doing?
Yeah, Brett. There was a fella. John was just asking there. He said about the stones. He said that you spend a long time searching for the stones. But I think, I mean, from my own experience, I mean, you were kind enough to source 2 stones for me that I have at home, and I call them the Brett Nicol Stones. Yeah. And you spent months searching for those for me. You know, and I really appreciate it. I love them. They have pride of place out of my plinth in the back garden here. And I know you've got stones for other guys like Charlie, etc. You know, so What do you want to tell the guys? I mean, it's not like you just drive around the road and you say, "Oh, there's the I'll grab that." You actually go searching for these things.
I can absolutely guarantee you right now, right? And I know that you might think this is absolutely, everybody that's watching this might think this is impossible, right? But I reckon I have looked at thousands upon thousands of stones, right? There's a local farmer I've got along the road here, and his farm's known as a stony farm, right? And all the stones at the bottom of all the fields. And I'm talking, we're not talking 1 or 2 stones, we're talking 600 stones, maybe 8 foot high in a space of 10 meters, and he's got 1,000 meters of this, right? And all the farmer mates and lots of my friends and all that over the last 12 years, they'll phone me, and I'll tell you, I can look, well, I'll tell you right now, your stones and Charlie's stones, when I was done with that, I said I'd never do it again, because mentally I was drained looking for them. Because it's not a case of just, you've got to find a stone at the right width, the right height, and the right weight. And you might think that's easy, but it's not. It's not really difficult, right?
Even the cosmetics of the stone, the look of the stone's important as well, you know.
It's very taxing, just even on your head.
Oh, I can imagine, yeah.
Because I can see a stone for the side of the road and go, oh, by the time you get there, it's this size. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But and another thing as well is you can pick up a stone and all of a sudden you pick it up and this side's got a big bit missing. You know, it's just things like that. I mean,
and you turn it over.
Because I personally think my 2 big Nicol stones are just amazing. Right?
Oh, me too. Absolutely, yeah.
The new ones that I've got, they're even more amazing, I think. They're just shapes of them. But then I was lucky because I knew that about the big stone at the end of somebody's drive, and I know that for 10 years. I get an eye on it. But in fact, answering the boy's question, I mean,
it's months and months of work,
It's very, very taxing, and I have had people asking me if they can, I'm wanting 2 stones. It's like, I will get them if I can see them, but I can't go out and look for them because it does my head in. Right?
I don't know. Listen, I mean, the amount of time and effort, even just my stones, I know you've done it for a few people. You know, I mean, you and I talked about different stones for almost 3 months before we actually settled on 2, and you used to send me pictures of them, and you know, they were covered in grass and mud, and you posed them down for me, and eventually now I have them at home. I absolutely love them. You know, they're amazing, and hopefully I'll always be able to lift them. You know, but
there's another thing I have to mention as well, right? Jamie Sykes here. I'm going to answer this question for big Jamie here.
Go for it.
I actually got a couple of stones, right, that are sitting for me to pick up that I'm making for the women, right?
Yeah. I was going to come to that. Yeah.
Now, these stones, I'm hoping the way that I felt them, because you know yourself, lads, sometimes you can pick up a stone, it feels light and it can be 90 kilos. The next time you can pick it up, it feels really heavy and it's 80 kilos. You know, it's just stupid. But I really genuinely hope that these stones are the right weights, because they're as bang on as you could possibly get for the women, right? I'm hoping they're 70 and 100. That's what I'm hoping, because I think it's bang on. So hopefully, if I get these, they're sitting in a guy's garden, I've come to an agreement with them.
Yeah.
So I'll be getting them in the next few weeks and get them weighed up, because I think it's great that the women get a chance to walk.
Of course, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because the women's game's growing just as much as the guys' game's growing, absolutely.
Yeah. And Mark, I'm not going to mention Mark stones because they're impossible to lift. You know what I mean? 252 kilos, I think one of them is. You know what I mean?
Oh my goodness, so
but he did it. Mark's lifted it. You know what I mean? I
can't even count that high, let alone lift that much.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Mark can answer this. I think it's 240 and 180 he did in the starter with them. I'm not sure. I think
wow.
Right?
I've seen them and looked at them and kicked them and walked past them.
Well, Mark's the first person I got stones made for, right?
Yeah.
Because I knew at the time, before his Achilles, well, I suppose it was just a bit after his Achilles tendon.
Wow.
It's never been right, really, since. 254 kilos it is, right?
Yeah. Matt, they are stupid. You can't beat stupid.
No, what's that say? Phenomenon. And
they are. They're
I
amazing.
made them stones for Mark because I thought at the time, and I still believe that Mark would have been, okay, he's got a damaged Achilles tendon. I'm not saying it's still damaged, but there's still something going on with that because he's never walked amazingly since that's happened in my eyes. I mean, I'm not saying the guy couldn't do it anymore. I really do, Jen. But at that time, he was definitely on the track, right? No
Yeah.
doubt about it. He
That
definitely.
was a horrific injury he got that day. But I mean, he's bounced back, and the weights he's lifting now. And, you know, I'm going to speak to Mark hopefully in the next week or so, and I'm going to call it the Magic Mark and the Mighty Mark and the Magic Minute. It's going to be the.
I know, but the thing is, people have got to understand about that magic minute. When Mark did that 46 seconds, he did that twice that day.
He did. Right? That's right. He did it for Ruben the second time. That's right.
Well. So it's not like he did it once, you know. I mean, doing it once is crazy enough, but to do it twice in the same hour is absolutely insane, right? I mean, and the thing is, Mark's got a real passion, like us all, right? And it wouldn't be the same. It wouldn't be the same without him being involved in it all. You know what I mean?
Of course not. Yeah, I mean, we're good. I think we've got a great team, you know, because we're all passionate. We're not just passionate about lifting the stones. We're passionate about getting it out there for everybody else to lift stones. I think that's the thing, and that's why we're trying to grow it, you know. And it's not because this isn't. When we've been there, we've done it. You know, we're still doing stuff for ourselves, but it's making this available to everybody else and growing it. And that's the thing that I get the biggest kick out of at the minute. It's absolutely amazing. Just to see this going the way it is.
It makes. What's that? I would love to agree with Jamie. Makes it effortless. Aye, who's?
Oh, he does. Yeah, I was Jamie was just saying about how strong. Now, Mark's listening, so we don't want to give him a big head, but he is. He is.
Right, say that again about Mark. What was that?
He's the strongest. He's the strongest ever. So he is. No, there's no question.
Listen, I witnessed Mark doing 10 reps with the Nicol Stones down at Plutarch when he first came up here.
I remember that.
Yeah. And I didn't really speak to him that day because there was an entourage with him. But that was the day that was the first day that I actually seen somebody walking side by side without straps with it, right? And then I remember
that.
Yeah, and then I remember my mate saying, and I watched him do that reps. And I'll still say to this day, nobody even comes close to that. Not even close to it, man. I mean, the guy's strength in his back that way is just, I mean, what he's doing just now is incredible as well. I mean, he actually makes it look so effortless. It's unbelievable. Almost as good as me in a straddle.
You know, I think he paints like a calm face on and sticks it on it, but in behind the mask, he's going. Yeah, no, he's great. I can't wait to talk to him next week about his plans and where he's going with all that as well.
About Marcus as well. So he's to do 47 seconds and hold on to that. I mean, I've held on to Denny's before in a straddle in front of Mark. I think it was for about 8 or 9 seconds or something. I mean, for me, that was a fair weight, right? But to think about doing it side by side and holding it for another, well, I think Mark Felix was quite shocked when he actually found out that Mark had the world record on the real stones.
The Guinness World Record now, it's official.
And side by side, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just.
Well, I have to agree with Big Jamie. Whenever you pick up the Denny Stones these days, I mean, there's no resistance. You just grab them and you stand up and then you set them down. It's just, I mean, it literally is. Well, I mean, one of the things that I have to say when I see this bags of shopping stuff where guys come on and you're doing your store, it's like, I'm going to stab an expert that says that, but you actually do make it look like a couple of bags of shopping.
Well, I'll be honest with you, Stephen, and I hate, and I wouldn't normally say this, but I will be honest with you when I say this. When I'm on point, it really doesn't feel like I've got anything in my hands. Like I've said to you about this imbalance thing that I've got with the Denny Stones, right?
Yeah.
I've lifted them for so long. The last 100 odd, 150 odd lifts that I've done.
Yeah.
I just can hit this imbalance thing so bang on myself that it doesn't feel like there's anything in my hands. I mean, to be without sounding cocky or making it feel bad for other people that are training.
Yeah.
But it really doesn't feel anything like I know I'm lifting something, but at no any point do I feel like it's going to hurt me, or I feel like I can't lift it, or it feels.
Yeah.
I mean,
you know what that is? I mean, we were talking earlier on about, you know, some people find your walking stones easier to pick up the stones, and some people find the rings easier to pick up.
Yeah.
When it comes to your walking stones, I find it much easier to pick your stones up than I do to work on the rings.
Right.
But it's the other way around with the Denny's. When I'm training for the Denny's, I mean, when I stand over, and I know my weights are accurate, you know, when I train on the rings, I actually find it very comfortable, because you know what it is? I know every time I stand over them that they're coming up.
Yeah.
You know, and I know it's going to be heavy and it's going to be, you know, a difficult lift and all, but I know in my mind, I've no stress But when I stand over the dinnies, because I only, particularly the first couple of times, I mean, my goodness, this was like almost 50 years after I first heard them, and all of a sudden I'm standing over them with the rings in my hand, you know. So there is a big sort of head melter.
I hate rings. I hate pins. Absolutely hate pins. I can't stand them. I can't.
You're the opposite to me. You prefer the stones, but the thing is, when you stand over the stones, you know they're coming up, and that's why there's no stiff anymore.
I just know where it stands. It's like Jamie just said there, practice makes perfect. And
it does. Getting your head right is an important thing too. You know?
Well, the thing is, Stephen, I'm lucky in a sense as well, right? Even my missus knows this.
Yeah.
You know, I've got 350 odd lifts.
Aye.
That I know, but I've done a lot more than that. You know?
Oh, I
used to go down to Petark every other night and go down and have a few lifts and all that. And I did that. God, I don't know.
That's amazing, yeah.
I know, but the thing is, though, but I didn't. It wasn't for, I'm the best lifter. It was just something I did because at that time, the popularity wasn't what it is now, right? Yeah. It was a challenge, right enough, back then when I first started lifting. It was a challenge, but it wasn't the popularity they've got now. So, I mean, like I've said this to Jim Spleen, we've had this conversation. He used to go out, and it wasn't just he just went out because he enjoyed doing it, right?
Yes, Jim was exactly like you. He used to drive past them, get out of the car, have a wee quick lift, and then get in the car and go about his Saturday afternoon. I think that's amazing.
That's what I mean. I'm a bit like that. We go down with Roy in his little pushchair, and when we go over the swings, I'd stand there and do as much lift as I could or prick about, and there would always be somebody at the hotel. He'd go to the top of the hotel. They'd look out the window and go, "Oh, it's only him." You know what I mean? They didn't even watch me anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. There's Brett again over to lift the stones, you know. Is there any chance of somebody else lifting them?
Well, the thing is, though, it's strange that my sound. It's like I find this is weird, but I find my nickel water stone and my big nickels really a lot more taxing to lift than the dinny stones because they're so flat. You've got to lift them both.
They're dead weight. They're an absolute dead weight. I remember. Yeah.
I've got to get my head on. I mean, don't get me wrong. I can lift them, no bother. But it's not like. I mean, the dinny stones. I can just walk. I can just walk up to dinny stones without warming up and pick them up. Right.
Yeah. Which is amazing. That is. I mean, that's pretty unique. You know, I mean, there's a handful of guys. I mean, I've seen pretty much everybody's lift. I think particularly in modern times, there's a handful of guys that stand over the stones, put their hands on them, and basically just stand up. You know, and it doesn't seem like there's a massive effort. You know, because most of us normal people, we stand and we're flipping our eyes are popping out of our head, and you know the stones eventually come. But there's myself, Mark, my dad. I remember my dad training back in the 70s. You know, and he would have went out. He'd have put the full weight on them. He would have stood over the stones. He just tightened up a wee bit, but everything was very calm. You know, and he just stood up.
Yeah,
you know,
there's another lad in Scotland like that just now, and I will be honest here, is Jamie Duncan, right?
Yeah, I've
seen Jamie Duncan side by side. I only tried it once in the gym, and I mean Jamie, I'll tell you, he's the first one to tell you he doesn't like lifting him straddle, but side by side, the guy's a phenomenon. Like I seen him first time he did it, it was effortless. You know what I mean? He's just got that mechanical advantage. He's just really strong that way. It's like that with his Atlas stones, you know.
Jimmy's asking about how many has lifted your big Nicol Stones, Brett. I mean, I think it was you, there was James Blackhall, there was myself and Charlie were the third and fourth.
Yeah.
I don't know how many. I remember didn't Big James Crossley, didn't he set a record with holding them?
Well, James Crossley did 20 seconds or 21 seconds, I think it was. Aye, and listen, I've got that in footage, and it was amazing that day when he did that.
That is amazing.
But the more amazing thing for me was the way that he manhandled them. I mean, when he picked them up, he did it really, really effectively. I mean,
he's a strong guy. He's a very strong guy.
It was incredible what he did that day. Absolutely incredible.
So how many do you reckon have lifted you're like the big combination of 1 and 2, the 2 and 1.5?
Well, I'll tell you right now, off my head, I've got the books somewhere through there. I'm not sure. I think it's about 20.
Wow, that's not a lot. That's not a lot. Think about it,
There's more failures than there is lifting.
Yeah. Oh, why?
Yeah. But it's
I can understand. They are heavy. They are. I can't believe.
I think the thing with my stones is, though, man, I think a lot of people can come up here and they can lift my stones, right? and try a few attempts and then go down to the dinnies and fail the dinnies, right?
Yeah.
But I don't think they realise how much taxing they're putting effort into the stones out here, right?
Yeah.
Because it's a different lift for the dinny stones, my stones, completely. I feel my stones is more of a dead weight. Nothing moves.
No, there's nothing moves. I remember, I mean, Ricky Morell's asking if I lifted yours. I lifted your 202 and your 155 one day.
Yeah.
But one thing I remember about them, there was some stones tend to tip the pin where the ring is, but yours just go up, down, just up. It's a wow. They're amazing.
That's one thing I've got down at tea as well. So, Stephen, when I'm making stones, I've just I feel I've got a great knack to look at a stone and say that's where the ring needs to go.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. It's just trial and error with all my stones that I've ever tried. Because I mean, I've had other stones put a ring in them and like, nah, chuck it, it's crap. You know?
Yeah.
As much as you want them to be effective, you want them to look good as well. You
know?
No,
look good. I mean, it's okay when they come up straight, and there's a wee bit of a tip. But if you get a stone that's sitting like this, I mean, you've got the ring in the wrong.
Just that's awful.
That's
to be honest with you, I think the best small stone I ever got somebody was Mark's small one at 132. It's an absolute beauty. That's the one we did. That's me and you did the side by side. Mine at Mark's, the 172, 132, right?
Oh, they were tough. They're tough stones.
That's a couple of great stones, but his 132 is amazing. I mean, if you were to say, what would you have as a small stone for lifting, it'd be that. You know what I mean? It's the shape of it, the smallness and the denseness of it. I mean, to be fair to you, it's almost like my other walking stone, the heavier nickel walking stone, the fact that it stays flat on you. You know what I mean? And it's only Mark's got a good couple of stones to work with, that's for sure. 100%.
Oh, he has. I remember, but the only reason I lifted those ones out there is because they're full of whiskey. I hadn't the sense to say no.
Yeah, what's this? What's this? Jamie's saying 207. What's that?
202 is 202. Jimmy is the big one. So it is on the original nickel stone, but there's another one in there.
Stone is 209. The new one.
209, the other one. Wow, it's a monster as well.
And it's another one. It's flat. I mean, to be fair to you, the day that Mark came here, the Alan Fakilla step, it took me a few attempts to get it. I mean, Charlie got it first attempt, wanker.
Yep.
Come on, I mean, he got it like that. I mean, that day he got it like that. But once you got your heat on it, it was like game on. You know, just being up. What's this, Brett? You.
There's a 202 is the original big nickel, and then there's another big nickel that he got, another big 200 plus one is 209, I think.
And that's it. I would have.
Yeah. I'm going to let the rest of you fight about lifting that one. I'm done.
I know, but the thing is, it's a bit of a higher pickup, though. It's a bit of a higher pickup, still, Stephen. You know, but it's still a really, really difficult stone. There's no doubt about that. I mean.
Oh man, the thing about it, I think the beauty about it is, Brett, you've such a variety. I mean, obviously we spent a lot of time talking about your nickel walking stones, which are the ones that are kind of out there at the minute. But I mean, the collection of stones that you have there, you know, there's if you're in the ring lifting, then there's huge challenges. If you like just lifting natural stones, there's such a variety of natural stones you have there as well. You know, it's a fabulous collection. I don't think anybody's got a collection quite like it.
My collection is like I get somebody like Jamie Golan here, right, who's lifted all the stones in Scotland, right? Yeah. I do actually look at Jamie and think, Jamie, what do you think? And he'll tell you that. I've asked him, what do you think of that? Because I know that if a guy like him's going to say, that's a cracker, he means right? So there's not a stone out here that he hasn't said to me, I'm going to use that, right? Yeah. So that's great for me because, I can't wait to get the beef here. Right?
Beef.
Because he's another phenomenon.
Well,
same with Jamie Duncan. Look at the size of Jamie Duncan, right? 100 kilos, man. You know, he manhandles these stones like they're pebbles. And I still look at a young lad and think, Jesus, Jamie, you've got no idea how strong you are yet, mate. You know, you're an absolute phenomenon when it comes to lifting stones, man. I mean,
but it was the 160 tackiness that blew me away.
It's putting a 1 foot like the Atlas endurance stones, right? I'll tell you right now, they're the smoothest, biggest nightmare on the planet. They're like glass, right? And for Jamie to put 140 to his shoulder like he did is insane, right? Absolutely What's this? Yeah. Aye. I think Martin would jump on it soon. Well, Martin's
Fish and chips, sir, Martin. Bring the fish and chips down.
Aye, well, there's another guy. It's lifted a couple of these stones out here since I've got them, and thinks they're great stones. So,
yeah.
The thing is, we're trying to duplicate like manhood stones in Scotland at the event to make it more authentic. And I think with some of the stones I've got out here, it's bang on because there's such a variation in the manhood stones in Scotland.
Yeah. There are. I couldn't say there are, yeah. I haven't really lifted that many. I've done the Inverstone and I've done the Saddle and Mare. There's only two outside of your stones and the Denny's that I've taken on. But, you know, when all this dies down and the weather's good, I'll come over on the motorcycle and we'll have a rip with some of them, you know.
Because I think Big Jamie's tired of asking me to come with them, to be honest with you. But the day that I do it, I've got to do it with Big Jamie, Cam, because
that'll be good, man. We'll do plenty of whiskey.
I want to do it with. You know what I mean? It's out of everybody, he's the guy I want to do it with. No doubt about it, because he just knows what he's doing. You know what I mean? And he gives you that when you're with him. He gives you that bit of incentive to do a bit better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, it's like I know that guy I'd like to mention and all, but which I find phenomenal at the moment. It's Mark Sheriffs.
Yeah, Mark is, yeah. Absolutely. He's a strong guy.
In the last couple of years for his age, I mean, he's 56 years old, and I can't age is only but he's a very, very strong 56, man. You know?
He's only a youngster. He's not even as old as me. Mark's a great lifter. He is. Great lifter.
What's that? I can't read them comments, Stephen.
I get a bit of Appreciation Society on there with Matt and Big Sexy Grandad.
So you should, yeah. Right,
yeah.
Look, all these guys are phenomenal lifters. I mean,
we have, and there's more to come. You know, there's more coming through. What I love about it, I mean, it's terrible where we are now with all this lockdown and shit. You know, but you know this will pass. And the thing about it is, everybody's backing up now. You know, so there's whenever the floodgates open, I mean, there's going to be a lot of people coming to the fore. One thing I will say, I know we talked a lot about the Donald Denny Games and the gathering, and people are asking me, you know, what do you need to do to get an invite along to it, you know, and it's very hard for Brett and I to get this right, you know, because we don't want to offend anybody, you know, and we want to make it as best as it can be. What we had to do this year is when we had a full programme for last year, obviously that was cancelled. You know, so my first point of call was to re-invite everybody. Look, we did it last year, giving you first call this year. So most of them have actually taken it up, and we had a few sort of had put their names forward for this year, and like a reserve list, you know. So we're actually full up at the moment. Assuming it goes ahead, we're full up. But if you want to take part in it, contact me, please. You know, because what I'll do is I'll put you on the list for all sorts of different reasons. People do pull out. You know, people get injured. There's going to be travel restrictions still in place this year, so some people might not be able to make it. So, you know, if I have a reserve list, I will use you, and I will be honest to you. I'll use you in the order that you come to me. So the quicker you get in, the higher up you're going to be on the reserve list, you know, because Brett and I don't want any empty spaces in this. We want this thing to be full. We want
100%.
We want this thing to be the biggest thing on the planet for stone lifting, and it's going to be.
It's going to be a phenomenon.
You know,
the thing is, the people that are involved in it, they want to be in it, they love it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's what makes it a good show. You know what I mean? And I really genuinely think all it can do is get better and better. You know what I mean?
Yep. There's Princess of Pouring. First lady to lift them with the white straps.
Yep. Hold on.
Yep. Emma Jane, hi. Well, that's just the thing, but we haven't really touched on that at the minute. I mean, one of the things that we did do was because there had been no ladies coming forward. You know, I mean, obviously we don't allow straps for any stones. We opened it up temporarily to allow ladies to come in and take it on with straps. And you know that has what a great move that was. You see like how many ladies have come forward and taken this on, and the quality of the athletes that they have been. You know, with Emma Jane and you know with Donna Moore. You know, with Amika's lift was amazing. So it was. You know, you have. She could have all those years since John Tobin was on. You know, so it's amazing watching the stone lifting grow as well.
Yeah. Oh, listen, Stephen. When these women get their hand, if these stones that I get are banned, they're in because it's not going to be easy for them, and it shouldn't be easy. If they want
no, it shouldn't be easy. No, definitely not.
Yeah, it's like I'm so glad because when I first took my Nicol Stones down to IHGF, I was a bitty, and I thought, right, well, I just used the 155, 140, and I'm so glad I didn't. Right?
Yeah. Aye.
That would have been a disaster.
Yeah, I think the 155 is a bit heavy for the walking thing.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah.
I'm glad I never,
Yeah.
because
no, you're perfect.
today,
It's perfect. The rules are perfect. You know, the challenge is perfect.
and the great thing as well, I've got Stuart Murray at the moment training to do the bridge.
Oh, yeah, that's amazing. Stuart's a great lad, I know, and I mean, Scotland's strongest man. He's the driving force behind that, you know. So I mean, to have them in that, well, what an honour, you know.
Oh, no, somebody, Stephen, I cannot wait. I cannot wait to see that
Yeah.
across the bridge, because what that guy's done for Scotland and strength and things like that, and strength in general. I can't, but a better person off that bridge. You know that? What's that?
Yeah. Chloe Brennan's lift was amazing. I mean, Chloe's only 60-something kilos. She's only like 9.5 or 10 stone. It's not even 9.5 stone. That's amazing.
This is no joke, right?
That's no joke.
Chloe doing what she does, I can't get my head around it. Right? I just do not get my head around anything that girl does, because I cannot believe she does it. Right? You look at her fingers and all that and think, how the hell did you grip that with your little fingers, right? And they didn't break.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you right now, that day she was here, there's a few of that lifts that weren't really filmed properly. And she did better than some of that lifts she saw. I mean, some of that lifts, they were both doing this. And they were, she didn't do the second rule and all that, but she had them both off the ground, right? And for a girl of her size, because when you see her in the flesh, it's like, really? You lift? You did it. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, this with that. She's just a little wee thing like this. You know what I mean?
Oh, no, she's an amazing athlete. You know, that's why she's challenging with all the competition. I remember I first met her. She was very young you know, and she was super strong then. But the way she's come on now, and Matt as well. I mean, Matt's come on as an athlete when I first met him.
And I tell you, somebody else Scotland's coming on. It's Jamie's partner, Mara, right? Yeah. She is a phenomenal. She is a strong lady.
Mary's yeah. She'll probably something else too. Yeah.
If she,
you know what? It's just been lovely watching the whole thing grow, because from little acorns and all that, you know. But I think what we've done here, I mean, what I want this, what I see for this is that if you, and even you and I, take a step back and don't get involved, that it's got a life of its own. No matter what, there's nobody's going to stop it. That's where I want it to be.
I don't want to step back though, pal.
No, me neither. God, no, you're kidding. I'm going to do this till I drop. But you know what I mean? It's definitely got a life of its own now. There's no question about it.
The thing is, I think I've got a life of its own because the people that are involved, and it's not just me and you. So, like some of all the people I've been mentioning, right?
Yeah.
All these people that put their heart and soul into it. You know?
Yeah. You really look at what Jim does. I mean, if it wasn't for Jim and Rosie and all the stuff that they do, you know, all the stuff he did in the first place by lifting the stones, but now all the stuff that he does to help athletes, train for it, all the photographs and videos. You know, I mean, that's recorded forever now. I mean, it's, you know, nobody can question what we're doing because it's all there, right? I love it. Absolutely love it.
Paul, it's absolutely amazing that to think that a few stones can put together and create a thing, you know, because let's be honest here, it's like that Jamie and the Beef and Martin and stuff like that, Martin Jenkins and James Graham and people like that. Scottish lifting scene has got where it is just now because they've took their videos. I mean, James Graham with his history and Martin with his history and stuff, and get Jamie constantly lifting all the time, you know. And like, I can't remember the name. Is it Arvler Stone? He's trying to put to a shoulder. It's 150 kilos. I mean, how would you even think about doing that? You know what I mean? I mean, I'd get it off the ground, you know. And it's like, well, I know that it's a burn and Jamie's wanting to do it. I can't even. Well, what's that? What's this?
No one knows me under unbelievable.
Yeah. Jim. Jim's a. To be honest.
But the thing about it is, I mean, obviously everybody who's listening now is interested in stone lifting, and you know, and we're all involved in it in some way or other. But even if you're sitting in the pub and you talk to a guy, you know, just randomly, and say, "What do you do?" "Well, I'm a stone lifter." You automatically can see their ears prick up and they go, "What, you're a stone lifter? What do you mean?" And they'll go and lift, they're going to the field and lift rocks, you know, and they're like, "Wow!" Everybody, it just seems to catch people's imagination. You know, I've always said that there's a bit of a romance about this, and there most definitely is.
Well,
You know,
it's just like this, right? You can say what you want. I mean, there's so much more things that people could be doing that's not good. You know, a group of lads to go out and lift a few stones. Well, you know, your missus and that might not like it because I think that you're getting injured and all that. But there's so many other things you could be doing. You know, I mean, that was bad for you. You know, and I don't think. I mean, really, let's be honest here. You're only going to injure yourself in stone lifting if you do something stupid.
aye.
Like if you feel you've got a niggle, stop. You know, I've said this to you a million times, Stephen. If I ever get a sore bit, I just stop. Right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, me too. Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely. Walk away. You can come back and fight another day.
If you're
Just a wee thing, just before we finish, Brett, I know we've been talking for ages now, but we spent all night talking about Scottish stones and the Nicol Stones, Denny's, all the manhood stones. A wee bit of news for everybody. I have found stones in Ireland.
How heavy the tank?
Well, we're all Celtic, and I've been searching for years, you know, and I've had a few leads, but I've always had a dead end where we got to the farm, but never found the stone, or, you know who the family are, but not around. But I've actually found some genuine Irish stones with history, and the people who left them are still around. And obviously, I can't visit them, I can't take photographs because of the pandemic. But once that's over, I'm going to head down there. I'm going to meet the guys, get the history of the stones, take photographs. Hopefully, I might even be able to lift them myself, and just going to put them out there.
Yeah.
You know, but that's really exciting for me. That's, you know, as an Irishman, you know, that I love the Scottish history. It's been part of my life, all my life.
Yeah.
But that's just, you know, this is a wee bit closer to home, and it's lovely.
Well, the thing is, it's
exciting.
You know, at the end of the day, Paul, if they're 50 kilos, 100 kilos, it doesn't really matter.
Doesn't matter. It's the history.
I mean, it's not all about weight, man. You know what I mean?
No, it's not. No, definitely not all about it. Yeah.
Definitely not. I mean, I think the thing as well, I know people go on about the Husafeld stone and all this, whatever it is, around 180 kilos and that, and it is a phenomenal stone and all that. And there's only a handful of people. But I think the likes of that sort of stone, it's more of an, okay, it's obviously strength, but it's an endurance stone. You know, to walk around that mound is phenomenal. You know what I mean? I see my mate Jaden Hill did it. I mean, and for a guy 100 kilos to be able to do it is incredible, eh? Yeah,
absolutely, yeah. I mean, yeah, I see what Jamie's saying. There's some comments about, you know, about the guys who are documenting this. I mean, obviously, when I've mentioned him already, I've mentioned Martin Janksiks already, you know, but I mean, Peter Martin. I actually met Peter Martin when I was first starting to train for the Denny's. And Peter and I would talk on the phone pretty much every night leading up to my first attempt in the Denny's Stones. And he took a heart attack about a week before my first attempt, and he died the Friday before I left the Denny's Stones. It was such a sad story. Absolutely left me at the time.
I had Peter at my house. I had him here.
Yeah, he's an amazing guy. I mean, I think one person that we can't forget is David Webster. You know, look what David's done over the years. My goodness, talk about the godfather of stone lifting.
Yeah, well, yeah. So, like, listen, Peter Martin came here, contacted me about the Denny's Stones because he said he'd like to put me in a book and all this kind of crap. And
lovely.
Yeah, and he came here with an American guy who was Brandon. I can't forget his second
Brandon
name.
Very. Brandon Very. Yeah.
And it was so sad for Brandon because he did a big mistake in trying to lift my stones first and absolutely put him into turmoil because he couldn't even budge him. Right?
Yeah.
And at that time, I had a shoulder injury, so I couldn't do nothing anyway. I was really bad shoulder injury I had for about a year. So
Brandon's a nice fella. I've been talking to him. He's a nice fella.
Yeah. But it was so sad because he'd done the Denny weight.
Yes.
But when he came here, he tried to do my stones. And I remember Peter Martin saying, he's not going to get it, is he? I was like, nah. If he cannot budge my stones, Peter, he's not moving the Denny Stones. No chance. And we went up to the lock-up in a boy, and I felt gutted for him, honestly. Because he's a strong guy. He was a strong guy.
Oh, yeah.
What's this comment here? All involved, yeah, they are. You're right there, Martin, Paul.
Absolutely, yeah. And you know what? That's just one of the last things I want to say is, like, obviously, I'm so proud of my dad, you know, because obviously my dad was the first to show that it was possible in the modern age, you know. Yeah. So, man,
well, it's your dad and Jim Splee.
What a legacy he left.
Well, it's your dad and Jim Spleen in the first pictures I've seen.
Yeah.
What's this? I really wish I could have met Peter Martin.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I never met him.
Why? Because
spoken tons, but never met him.
Yeah. When he was at my house here, I stood outside for him for about an hour and a half, and the information that he had on Stones, it was just mind blowing. And he loved the fact that I made a couple of Stones, and he was like, "Oh, this is brilliant, Brett. It's like modern history, you know." And that's what kind of kicked me off. It's like, and I wish I could have lifted it in his Stones that time for him, but I couldn't. I tried to in the shed, but it was just no chance. No.
You know what? It's like you say, it's not in you every day.
Yeah, that's it. You know,
it's not in every day.
Once again, lads, Pete, listen, pal, we'll never forget about what you did as well. Okay.
Man, Pete, yeah, there's more to come from our Pete as well.
But let's just get this out there, right? Peter, after the three strong men did it.
Mm-hmm.
Peter did 17 feet side by side without straps, right?
Yeah.
A couple of put downs, fair enough. We by that day, 210-pound body weight, no straps, and that is
unbelievable. Yeah.
The most brilliant things I've ever seen in my life, right?
Yes, me too. I was just saying to Pete about that last week. There are certain things, you know, that you see and you remember them. They kind of stick in your memory above, and that definitely stuck in mind forever. Like.
The whole fact about that, if we're going to shut this off with Pete, is the fact that the nerves were one thing with him, and he still managed to do it.
Yeah, still got to it.
Pick up, you know as well as I do, and I mean, I don't know about it because I've only lifted a dinny weight side by side in training. I haven't done it with real Stones.
Yeah.
And some Mark Haydock can lift him all day side by side, so he didn't really know about that. But if you're grimacing lifting that weight, it's hard, right? And you know as well as I do, that day, that last lift he did was just incredible. How much he pulled through that to do a couple of more feet, and it just blew me away. That
it blew us all away. I think even Eddie Hall and all the guys were away that day as well. To watch that, that was amazing.
Yeah. So is that us patching it up, and pal? Is it? What's this? The Peter Stone is a good starting point. Yeah,
that's a good one. That's about 97 kilos to Peter, I think.
Well, you know something, Steve? It's like I said to you, Paul. This is the thing I think everybody's got to understand, right? It's not about the heaviest stone in Scotland.
No, right? No.
I'll be honest with you, Stephen. I know there's a lot of history behind all this, but as far as I know, and speaking to Peter Martin and speaking to locals around here, and like all your inverse stone and your 100-kilo stones were more the stones that the young lads lifted, right? For a manhood challenge. I mean, I'm not saying that all the heavier stones weren't, but there is a lot of truth behind the 100-kilo stones. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even stone and stuff like that. You know, that's proper stones. You know, like I'm not saying that the rest aren't proper stones because they are. I'm saying
there's something about 100 kilos stone when you're in around 95, 100, 105 kilos. When you're lifting that kind of a stone, you know, I mean, it's. I mean, I have like an Atlas stone out there. I call them the Flintstones, and I have one of them that's 100 kilos, 99 point something kilos, and I've managed to lift it to my chest, you know, on one occasion. But wow, what a feeling!
Well,
what a rush, you know.
It's like I have to mention Andy Kearney. You know, that's one of the
inspirations. Man, his track record's amazing. Yeah,
even
unbelievable.
Just mind blowing what that guy used to do.
But he also did it with the Menzies stone. That super slippy one. 115 kilos straight up, no messing about. Like,
I couldn't end this chat without mentioning Andy Kearney, to be honest with you, because
no, you can't talk about stone lifting not mentioning Andy. Absolutely.
When you see him doing that inverse stone like he did, it was. I mean, I actually still say to this day, if he really tried, he could have got air underneath that stone.
Yeah. Aye.
He could have got.
I
think he could have got out of his hands. Right.
But he did the same with the Menzies or the Mingus stone. He did the same with that as well, you know, and that's super slippy for you. You know, to put that over your head, amazing. Brett, it's been a pleasure, chum, as always. So that's whiskey with my name on it here Saturday night.
Yeah, but I want to say one thing. My Nicol walking stones and the Nicol walking stones wouldn't be nothing without everybody that's involved in this.
Absolutely, you're absolutely right. Yeah.
I thank everybody that's involved in this, all the people I've met through it, all my friends and all, because they're all good friends now. But it's because I mean, my Nicol Walking Stones isn't about me. It's about them now. You know,
Yeah,
Scotland, I see a bit of a history thing for Scotland. It's not about me anymore. Okay, I made them, I walked them, I did all that. But it's everybody out there that wants to do it, that makes them work. Right? So
100%.
everybody out there that's involved in the stone thing, like yourself, Mark, Jamie Duncan, Big Jamie, everybody that's involved in it, because it's all these guys that push it
It's a
out.
brotherhood.
Yeah,
It's a family.
Yeah. So, right, Stephen, it's been great, pal, and I'll speak
Good to talk to you, pal. Yes, I'll see you soon.
Right, okay.
We're going to try and save this now.
All right, pal.
Good night, everybody. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Cheers.
Now, how do I stop this? Thanks very much, everybody, for tuning in. Hopefully, I can stop this without too much. Bye, Emma Jane. Bye, everybody. I have no idea how to stop this. I'll be with you in a minute. Oh, really? Just poking here, you know. Side. Oh. Oh. Okay.